Well, today is the 9th day of August. I am at the Hammons house visiting with the elder. Yep, she's the most elder in town. I am a most elder too, but I'm just not the oldest elder. But I'm reading today from Matthew chapter 24. Over 2,000 years ago, Jesus was in Jerusalem. He liked Jerusalem. Jesus loved Jerusalem because that's where his Father's house was. Yeah, Jesus liked to go to his Father's house in Jerusalem. He went there one day and made a whip, run some folks out, but that's not in chapter 24 of Matthew. Chapter 24 of Matthew. Jesus came out of the temple and was going away when his disciples came up to point out the temple buildings to him. Now that must have been a wonderful day. Jesus' disciples were getting to point something out to Jesus. And Jesus said to them, "Do you not see all these things?" Of course, he knew they saw them all. They were showing them to him. He says, "Truly I say to you, not one stone here will be left upon another, which will not be torn down." Do you know how hard that was for them to imagine? That what they were looking at was going to be torn down. As he was sitting on the Mount of Olives, I've never been to the Mount of Olives, but Jesus was on the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came to him, saying, "Tell us when these things will happen, and what will be the sign of your coming and the end of the age?" Well, Jesus responded. He responded this way: "See to it that no one misleads you. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and will mislead many." I'm dealing with people every day that say Jesus is the Christ, and they are misleading people. I deal with them. I'm not dealing with one today at this house. No. But I deal with them. "Many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and will mislead many. You will be hearing of wars and rumors of wars." That sounds like the TV now. So most of the war going on is, I'm reading today. "You will be hearing of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not frightened, for these things must take place." Okay, so we're not frightened, right? "But that is not the end. It is not yet the end. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And in various places there will be famines and earthquakes. But all these things are merely the beginning of birth pangs." Did you know I've never had a birth pain? I've never been pregnant. Some people have felt birth pains. My wife felt birth pains one time. And I told her, "I don't feel a thing." But reading on here, "All these things are merely the beginning of birth pangs. Then they will deliver you to tribulation and will kill you, and you will be hated by all nations because of my name." Boy, that was not a good thing to hear, but that's what Jesus told his disciples. "They will deliver you to tribulation and will kill you. You'll be hated You'll be hated by all nations because of my name. And at that time, many will fall away and betray one another." Oh, that was not going to be good. Falling away and betraying one another is not good. "And hating one another. Hating one another is not good. And many false prophets will arise and mislead many. Well, today we don't have false prophets. We just have pastors and evangelists. I didn't read that. I just said that. And they do mislead many. But Jesus called them false prophets. And because lawlessness is increased, just go to one of these big cities and go downtown. If lawlessness increases anymore than it has, as recently, it's going to be something to see. But Jesus says most people's love will grow cold, but the one who endures to the end, he will be saved. All you got to do is endure to the end. Enduring to the end here means doing what you're supposed to do as long as you can do it. That's what endure to the end means. The one who endures to the end, he will be saved. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the whole world. I bet you didn't hear that at church Sunday, did you? If you did, you were lucky. The gospel of the kingdom shall be preached to the whole world as the testimony to all the nations, then the end will come. Therefore, he's talking to these people. He said, when you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, then those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains. Well, guess what? Me and the people in this house are not going to be fleeing to the mountains, because we're not in Judea. We're in Downsville, Louisiana. Yep. And I am at the Hammons house today. My father's house is on the hill just up the way. Whoever is on the housetop must not go down to get things that are in his house. Whoever's in the field must not turn back to get his cloak. Woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days. Folks, those days have already happened. You don't have to wait for these exact days to happen again. No, you don't. But Jesus said, pray that your flight may not be in the winter or on a Sabbath, for then there will be a great tribulation, such as has not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will. Unless those days had been cut short, no life would have been saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. Then if anyone says to you, behold, here's the Christ, or there he is, do not believe him. False Christs. People today don't even know what a false Christ is. That's how unlearned most people are. False Christ. False Christs and false prophets will arise and will show great signs and wonders, so as to mislead, if possible, even the elect. Behold, I have told you in advance. So if they say to you, behold, he is in the wilderness, don't go out. Or behold, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe them. Just as the lightning comes from the east and flashes even to the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. Where the corpse is, there the vultures will gather. Yep. I've been riding down the road around here and see a corpse of an armadillo, and the vultures gather. But immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. And then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds on the sky with power and great glory. That's what I'm looking for, folks. I'm looking for the Son of Man to come with power and great glory. I really don't know what y'all are doing. But if you're not doing what I'm doing, there's not much I can do about that. I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, looking for him to come on the clouds of the sky with power and great glory. And he will send forth his angels with a great trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the sky to the other. Somebody must be in the sky. I think they are. But anyway, now learn the parable from the fig tree. When its branches has already become tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. Summer is here. I know. I was outside this morning. So you too, when you see all these things, recognize that he is near, right at the door. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Yep. Every stone of those beautiful buildings were torn down, just exactly like Jesus said. Jesus said, but of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father alone. Guess what it is today? Still the same. The angels don't know. The Son don't know. But the Father knows. He hasn't forgotten. For the coming of the Son of Man will be just like in the days of Noah. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. And they did not understand until the flood came and took them all away. So will the coming of the Son of Man be. Then there will be two men in the field. One will be taken, one will be left. Two women will be grinding at the mill. One will be taken, the other will be left. Therefore be on the alert. You tell the people today to be on the alert. And you know what they'll tell you? Why don't you go tell them? I know what they tell me when I tell them be on the alert. They tell me, keep your mouth shut, Bob. Well, I'm not keeping my mouth shut. Therefore be on the alert. You do not know the day your Lord is coming. Be sure of this, that if the head of the house had known at what time the thief was coming, he would have been on the alert and would not have allowed his house to be broken into. Yep. You think you're going to come to my house, you better not send me a message you're going to break in tonight. I might stop you in the front yard. I do have some artillery. I don't have to wait for you to get close enough for the knife. Just thought I'd throw that in. Be on the alert. For this reason, you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour when you do not think he will. And every time I tell somebody the Son of Man may be coming, they tell me, you must be crazy, Bob. I might be. But I'm not crazy enough to think that he might not come today. He might come tomorrow. Who then is the faithful and sensible slave who his master put in charge of his household to give them their food at the proper time? Blessed is that slave whom his master finds so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you that he will put him in charge of his possessions. Do you even have a clue what Jesus possesses? His Father has given him everything he owns. And his Father owns everything. Just thought I'd throw that in. Truly I say to you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But if that evil slave says in his heart, my master's not coming for a long time, and begins to beat his fellow slaves and eat and drink with drunkards, hey, I would hate to think of how many drunkards there's going to be out on the streets tonight and tomorrow night. I bet there'll be some out on Sunday night. The master of that slave will come on a day when he does not expect him, and in an hour which he does not know, and he will cut him in pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Yep. I have read to
Chapter
you.
24. Jesus came out from the temple and was going away when his disciples came up to point out the temple buildings
How
to
about
him.
that? I didn't even
He said
plan
to
that,
them,
so I'm
"Do
going
you
to turn
not
that
see
off.
all these things?"
Okay, folks, that's it. I've got 15 minutes and 22 seconds on this video, and I'm going to end it. I'll put it on YouTube. Yep. This was done at the Hammons house on the 9th day of August. Yep. And the lady to my left, nobody can tell her that the spirit doesn't live. She's got inside information.